everybody, what's up? Welcome to the Standard 81 podcast. And tonight, uh, I am hosting one on ones with Sincere. Uh, so, this is going to be the first one, I'm hoping, of many. We're going to have this particular series every second and fourth Monday in the month, and we'll bring on different guests, talk about different topics and their life and what they're doing. Tonight's guest is going to be Frank Rose. We got another 5 minutes, so while I was here, I just wanted to shout out everybody and everything that I got going on. So, as I said, this is the new series. It's going to happen on every second and fourth Monday of each month with a guest. Uh, we also have every Friday nights at 11 o'clock the discussion episodes in which I discuss the topic in general. I try to hit the broad basis of it to make sure that people understand where we're coming from and what we're doing. Um, that's the typical format. I also have the uh, Let's Talk About It episodes up on Instagram. So go ahead and check that out as well at Sincere the Artist at Instagram. Those are dope. Uh, I'm pretty much everywhere. I don't post as much on Facebook, but I am going to get around to getting stuff on Facebook as well. But you can also check me out on Facebook as well under Keith Sincere Richardson. Um, and that is it. This guy, just to keynote y'all in on this guy. I've known Frank Rose for quite a while. We have done music together. Uh, we have also done some projects together. We at one point were disconnected, but now we have relinked, and we're hopefully here in the future we can do some more stuff together, some more projects, some more podcasts, and come up with some great and creative ideas. His story is incredible. I hope you guys are really looking forward to this because I know I am. This is going to be one of the most diverse podcasts I have done, and I have done in a while. So, in getting started, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and share. And while we sit here and wait for Frank to get here, I am just going to cue y'all in on this music here he got going. So, yeah, how do y'all feeling tonight? How's everything going? How's everything working? I hope y'all are feeling well. I hope y'all are feeling good. Uh, like I said, we're waiting for Frank to get here. I went ahead and got in here 5 minutes early so that I could go ahead and get everything set up for you guys and kind of intro it before the actual intro. Just a reminder. I want to give y'all a quick reminder here that everything I do is going to come from a Christian perspective, but doesn't necessarily mean that this is strictly for the Christians. All right, so I don't want y'all to get this twisted by any way, shape, or form. That if you're not a Christian, you can't watch or you can't hit me up or say anything, because that's untrue. Uh, please comment in the comments down below, and if you want to come into the podcast and check us out. Let us know as well if you want to talk to us. Let us know as well. So, yeah. So, what else? What else? Maybe I started this just a little too early. Like I said, this is my first stream. So I'm a little excited, but I can tell y'all about the next topics that we got going. This Friday's topic is going to be everybody has an agenda. And then the following Friday night topic is going to be another special topic. It's going to be the black culture trash? And that one, I want to have several different guests come on the stream with me to talk about that particular thing, because I believe that one is going to stir up a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of questions that we have in general. And I'm hoping that we can get a better perspective on the culture for us as black people. And I'm specifically going to concentrate on the African American or black culture because I am black. Not to say that other cultures couldn't use some improvement, but by far, I think that the culture of African Americans could use a lot more improvement than most. But who am I? Who am I? I don't know. I'm not white. I'm not Asian. I'm not Hispanic. So all I know is my culture. And I know that for the most part, the things we seem to glorify within our culture don't seem to be the most edifying things that we can go by. So I really want to discuss it and really want us to tune into what it is that we have going. So let me just put this here. In the meantime, check something here. Just waiting. Okay. So we got about 2 minutes before the guest comes. Should be here at 9. If not, we'll quit this stream and we'll hit him up via text, and hopefully he will pop in here. So yeah, let's get ready for this one. I wish the music in here was a little better, but it is what it is. Okay, so we're back. Sorry, we had minor glitches there. We had some glitches there. Let's see if we can get old Frank on. Let's see here. Split. There we go. Full screen. Let me see. Hello. Hello. Frank. Come on. Here we are.
Oh,
okay, there we go.
What's poppin'?
Hey, what's good? What's goody?
Oh,
Man, I thought I wasn't gonna get you there for a few minutes.
Bro, I was trying to. It's been a while. I was trying to figure out where's my cord. I need my microphone and my. Where's nowadays when you need them? we just talent. No. I need my tech crew.
Oh my goodness, man!
How do I sound? I sound good. I sound clear.
Yeah, you sound great. How do I sound? I sound pretty good.
You sound good.
Perfect. I don't have a mic yet. I'm not as elaborate as you are yet,
bro.
We working on
this is an Amazon mic, bro. It's like it ain't that serious. Amazon Basics, you know what I mean? Got my little tea.
Cool. Cool. Everybody, let me introduce you to Frank Rose. Quick little intro. I've known Frank for a while. We go back. We've done music, and now we're doing all types of. He's doing all types of shows. He is a barber, a stylist. He does it all. You name it, he can do it. So we're here today to just chat with him, find out about his life, his relationships, and what he's doing now. We'll get a little deep. We'll touch a little bit at the surface, and at the end, I hope you have some words of encouragement, and we'll wrap it all up. So, Frank,
yes, sir.
Tell us about yourself. Tell the people who you are and what you do, and I hope I introed that pretty well.
I don't know. I was like, dang, I sound cooler than I really think I am. Yeah, I'm Frank Rose. I'm a barber, hairstylist. I also MC, but transition a lot from hip hop to hosting events. And yeah. So, still dabble a little bit with the music, but mainly been working downtown, doing the hair thing. I love it. I specialize more in curly, natural hair, fades, pixie cuts, But then, get involved downtown. I host Orlando house parties that we do at Grape and the Grain. So that's always a good buy.
Just
those
in
are
case,
dope.
If y'all take my word for it, I don't go out a lot. And if I'm saying it's dope, it's dope.
It's definitely a night for like the people who don't normally go out to go out. Like, I feel like we create a cool environment. Like, I'm good for the month. Like, you know what I mean? I got the dance, music. Like, I fit my quota. Like, and an Orlando Jazz Collective, have me emceeing as well, and which we reconnected at the last event. And,
yes. That was
we started talking about the podcast, and I was like, "You won't have me on." Yeah,
Of
man. And you're
course,
right. If we
man.
go back, man, we got singles together.
Yes. Hey,
uh,
the thing is, our rapping days were incredible. I have since transitioned to other things, but still using that same sincere name
yeah,
to keep myself somewhat relevant. I
yeah,
hope.
man. And to remind yourself to be sincere. Stupid. Oh
Definitely,
man.
definitely, definitely. All right, so let's move into let's talk about a little bit about your career path, why you chose what you chose, and tell us about your decisions in life in general, and where you feel like you're going right now.
So originally, my first love has always been music.
Okay.
I've always wanted to just use the gift that like God has given me, whether it's singing or rapping or just being on the microphone. Um, but I didn't want to be a starving artist, so I also had an interest in hair. Like I was the garage barber, like yo,
Right.
you go to Frank, $5, he'll line you up. Like, and this is way back then. And no, like it's funny because then I felt like I accidentally fell in love with the craft.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't want to be like a starving artist, so I needed something to, support.
True.
Um, but yeah, it wasn't until I went to my first like hair shows that I was like, oh shoot, this is awesome. And my mother's a hairstylist, and she always
Wow.
shared with me that like it's another opportunity to to minister and be a light, with anyone who's in your chair. And it's so true, bro, because I am an unofficial therapist. Like I've been cutting hair for 15 years, man, and I got some regulars. And yeah, like before therapy, you went to your barber.
Right, 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 right. The barber chair is, hey, let me tell you about everything and my girl and my life, and you just feel relaxed and you come out of there with looking fresh and feeling even fresher.
Yeah, it was definitely there's this comedian, Hannibal Bears. He has this joke. He's like, you ever thought you were depressed, but you just needed a haircut? And I
So
was
true
like, yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. Like, I don't know how many times I'm like, I just need a haircut, man. I just need a haircut real quick. Like,
I need to go there and get lined up, get right, and
yeah. But
you're
it's
like,
been it's been a beautiful journey in that because I've met so many different people in different fields.
mm-hmm,
I've met Dennis, and that's how I got into the whole DJ community with Orlando House Party. I met I've met so many bartenders and like uh, uh, local business owners and stuff. So it's just been like a really awesome network in the community. I love Orlando. Like I always say,
mm-hmm.
like I'm gonna move, and I'm still here. Like Orlando's such a great headquarters, man. It's like a great hub.
It is. It is. You can find. I know that I personally I didn't when I first came to Orlando. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Being being an Ohio kid, somebody that already had pre-established relationships and stuff like that.
Hmm.
When I got here, it was like this sucks. But now it's probably one of the best things for me. I've established so many relationships. Some I've reestablished, some I haven't. But anytime I see anybody, it's always a great connection. We always vibe off of each other, so that's cool. Uh, Moving right along, you're in a relationship. Tell us a little bit about the relationship.
That's right. It's like a relationship podcast, right? Like, let me give you some advice.
Let me give you some advice.
Well, yeah. So I'm in a relationship now. Yep.
Hmm.
It's been 3 summers, as we call it. Like, and it's been a beautiful journey, to be honest. For those who don't know, I was married before, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, my previous wife Rebecca, was battling cancer,
Hmm.
and unfortunately, didn't make it. And so it's been a weird journey being a widower in your 30s. Like when you think of widowers, you normally think of like abuelo, grandpa, grandma. It's like, all right,
Right.
then, And they lived a long life. They've been together for so long, and
Right.
like Beck and I, we were together for like 12 years, married 8 of those years, and it's like a whole decade. And that was it's a really hard season, and it still continues to be challenging. Yeah, I still have my days. Like her birthday just passed last month, and you would think after 3 years you're just like, oh, it's not like a get over it. It's you get through it.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what I really been learning in this journey. The blessing, honestly, I wouldn't be in a relationship if it wasn't for one therapy. Like I've been in therapy ever since she's been diagnosed, because usually I would talk to her. She's my best friend. And I just didn't feel really weird. It felt weird being like, I don't know if I should vent to you about being your caretaker. Like maybe I should reach out to someone, professional, someone who outside of my mutual circle. So it's not putting the burden on my friends either. But he's given me so much like tools and just a safe space to talk. And even afterwards, we continued. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't jumping into another relationship just to like replace that hole, like I wanted to make sure I'm good. And this is just an add-on to my life,
Yeah.
And honestly, it wouldn't have happened, man. But I think she, my girlfriend today, Dee, she lost her mother about like 10 years ago. And so she can understand and relate to grief. I mean, she saw her dad become a widower. And I think that's the other like kind of component that is allowing this to work. Because I can come to her and be like, Becca's birthday's coming up. I might be a little off my game. It's cool. Take your time. Reconvene later. We can connect later. Let me know what you need. And in this new relationship, I've learned, I've had another opportunity. Every time you start a new relationship, you can you got a new slate to do something a little bit different.
Right.
And not that I didn't do this with Becca, but I really honed in this time of having uncomfortable conversations. You know what I mean? Like not being afraid to have uncomfortable conversations, like to be like, hey, I'm going to say this, or hey, I need to show you where I'm at. This conversation might be one of those like, yeah, this ain't gonna work out for me. But I'd rather get it out, and it's been, dude, game changer. It takes time to create the safe space. We worked on like basically being comfortable having uncomfortable conversations.
So how do you think, in relation to that aspect, how do you think you start having those uncomfortable conversations? Because most people have that adversity in the sense that they've been through a lot, they had a lot of trauma, maybe not specifically a death, but they've had different trauma, and they're like, the whole purpose of me to be in this relationship is to have peace and to have unconditional love. But we both know that none of us are perfect. So the love that they're looking for is, number one, only going to come through God. That's number one. And two, it has to be worked on. You got to be comfortable in having it. So what would you say are some of the key aspects that get you to that place where you feel comfortable in saying, I don't like this, or I noticed this, or woo woo woo?
I got an example, but she might hate me for sharing it, but oh well. We'll have an uncomfortable conversation afterwards. All right, so this was earlier on in our relationship. We're still in that like first few months, getting to know each other. We're vibing out. I ended up getting tickets to the Orlando Museum of Art for an art show, and they had this whole gala thing, and it was packed. It was way more packed than I thought it was going to be. And I don't know about you, but when I go on like dates, especially to an art gallery, like I want to spend time with her, But it was one of those situations. She's one of those persons that like, oh, look at this painting, and like walks away. You're like, hey, come back. Or okay, we're going that way. So I kind of knew, I was starting to pick up like she's that type of person. She's very independent,
Right.
But me being Frank Rose of the community, people, I recognize some people, and I wanted to give props to the DJ, and I was talking to them. I turn around, she's not there. So I'm messaging her. I'm like, hey, where'd you go? And she was like, well, I went to grab a drink, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, cool. Now I'm trying to find her. This place is packed. And I'm like, I paid tickets for this, like we're supposed to be on a date. And like, so I finally find her, and, she's got her drink. And I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. And she was like, well, to be honest, I was curious to see how long it would take for you to notice that I was gone.
Wow.
And so then, I was like, I don't like that. I'm like, so in my head, and I've shared this before, I'm like, I'm too old for this. I'm too old for games. And I've shared that with her before. I don't play games. Like, I don't do this whole like, well, you were supposed to infer and I thought it was clear, or like the read between the lines. No, I'm black and white, yes or no, up and down. Like you have to be claro, be clear. So I just told her, I was like, hey man, next time just warn a brother. Like, it's okay if you want to go grab a drink or whatever, just let me know. She was like, that's when she hit me with the whole, well, I was gonna see how long it was gonna take you to notice. And I was like, don't do that. I told her in a nice way. I didn't flip out. I didn't get angry. I was just like, I'm going to be sincere. I'm going to be clear and honest, And I said, hey, I don't like that. That feels like games. That feels like we're too old for that,
Right.
And, she took it. She was kind of quiet. The following day, though, she did hit me up. She said, you know what? You're right. I didn't realize I was doing that. That was kind of like, it's kind of childish, right? Like it's petty. And it was uncomfortable for me to go, hey, I don't like that. And if that's how it's going to be, like, that's not going to work for me. I mean, without saying all that, it doesn't have to be an ultimatum every conversation, but, and vice versa. Like there's been moments she's had to tell me, I'll be really real. Us guys, we making like gay jokes all the time. We grew up with the whole 90s, like, hey man, don't be gay. Like, us boys, we think it's funny because we grew up in that,
Right.
But for her, she was like, I don't really like that, I don't think that's appropriate, and like that was something that I had to go, oh, okay. It's not that it couldn't be funny, it's not that it couldn't be silly, but there's other styles of humors and jokes and ways of going about it. So us practicing that, being able to say, hey, I don't really like that, or hey, this makes me uncomfortable, or hey, I need help in this area. That's what makes this work. It's communication. And from all the clients that I have in my chair opening up about their relationships, or oh, me and my girl this, or the ladies, I do ladies hair too, like my husband or my boyfriend, I'm like, have you told him? Have you told her? Because usually that's the case. Don't tell me, like, I'm not your man, or I'm not your girl. Like, they're the ones. Educate him, educate her, inform them, let them get a PhD on who you are. Like, we can't read minds.
True enough. Would you say being honest with each other, there's got to be a willingness to walk away from a situation and not worry about the potential repercussions in telling somebody the truth, or having those uncomfortable conversations?
It's one of those things where I feel it's worth it being honest. There's a freedom in honesty. And if it didn't work out after being honest, you're not living a lie. So I'd rather be honest, with someone than versus because I'm afraid of hurting their feelings, or I'm afraid to be single. I'd rather be single and happy than in a relationship and unhappy.
Right.
I get it where, okay, well, what if you're like married, right? Or what if, it's been years and stuff. That's why I say practice now. Start practicing now communicating and talking your feelings. That's a problem with us men in general. I'm getting my whole tip. It's like like we're not used to talking our feelings. We're told to boys don't cry, be a man, step up, blah blah blah. I bought you something. Why do you? I don't need to say I love you. And it's the very patriotic, like old school mentality. But I feel like it's still in our DNA a little bit. We're afraid to be vulnerable.
Right.
And that vulnerability, you got to get comfortable being vulnerable. And that's what I hear with a lot of my ladies in my chair. They're like, they want that. They'd rather have a man who's just like, this scares me. Or, for XYZ, these are my dreams, but I'm worried about this, and this, like, isn't the point of having a partner to be your partner in life?
True enough. The only thing I would say in rebuttal to that is there's a slight notion out there for most guys that if I am too vulnerable, or I say too much, she may not see me as somebody she can rely on, trust, or respect. And it seems to a certain degree you have overcome that barrier, and you're building a relationship built on that trust, respect. What would you tell men in particular in how you're doing it versus how they're seeing it? Because they're like, if I'm vulnerable and I tell her boop, 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 or wooty wooty woo, she gonna be like, yeah, you not a real man, or I don't respect you like that.
Then that's not good. That's not the one for you then, because love is unconditional.
Come on.
Love doesn't judge, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't want someone who goes, he's sharing his feelings, then okay, find someone who doesn't share his feelings. I will. Because like, you can't read my mind. She can't read my mind. So how is she supposed to know what I like or don't like? Let's say I hate broccoli. Just throwing that. I like broccoli. But if I hated broccoli, right? And I never tell her, and we've been dating, we're married, it's been 5 years, and this lady's always making broccoli and putting it on my plate. One day I'm gonna like flip out and be like, I hate broccoli. You know this. And she's like, no, I don't. You've never shared that. You've never been vulnerable enough to be like, here's the honest truth. I don't like broccoli. And if that's a problem, she goes, I can't be married with somebody, or I can't date somebody that doesn't like broccoli, then okay, that means we're not going to be together. It's I want to be with somebody who I could be as honest as I am with my own blood and flesh. My brother, my mother, my father, my sister. When you marry that person becomes your family. And like, if you can't tell them how you feel, then who? Now, I think, in the beginning of a relationship, you're not going to go word vomit and, give them all your trauma up front. You build to that. I think through the dating process, you give them a little bit here and there. You got to give them something, because they want to know, like, hey, we're trying to see if this is something we want to do, I don't know if that answers the question, but
no, that was perfect. That was perfect. So and after this question, I'll move on to the next topic.
Okay.
But how long would you say, or would you say there is a time limit in building a relationship? Because there's this of course, the whole common saying, it don't take a whole day to recognize sunshine, right?
True. Yeah.
I believe it doesn't take forever to recognize whether or not you like each other. But how long do you think you should go before you start saying, okay, I'm with you, you're with me? Do you feel like it should be short? Do you feel like it should be long? Or do you feel like you should just go with the flow?
It's tough, because I want to say, like, go with the flow. I really want to say go with the flow, because I want to say, well, let's put it like this. Back then, when we used to do writing sessions with different artists, every artist is different. Every collaboration is a little bit different. the way I would write with Eddie was different the way I write with Keith, or like sometimes like you and I roll house hop like that, that was that's the relationship that you and I have, in that setting. I've gotten dates with girls that I'm just like, in that date, I know that there won't be a follow-up date, and I know girls call it the ick or whatever. They have their things. They can tell when it's like, I don't think it's good. This was fun. Thank you for dinner. Like, but then there's other dates where you go, yeah, I want to, let's try this again. Let's keep hanging out. I think for me, I wanted to take it slow. For my example, with dating with D, I wanted to take it slow because I'm a widower. I wanted to make sure that this person that I'm dating, in a weird way, doesn't get jealous that of my late wife. Not that that's the case, but we were just actually having that conversation today about. I can imagine. I've been trying to put myself in her shoe. Like, what's it like to date a widower? Like, you kind of feel like I came in because the other person got injured. Like it's like the coach threw me in because the main guy like got injured, and it's like, am I second? Am I second pick? Am I second strand? And it's not. But those are the thoughts that cross anyone in her position's mind.
Right.
That's why it helps that we can talk our feelings out, because in those moments where she shares that, I can reassure her, and I can go, nah, you're not second, you're now. I think you have to like just communicate and feel it out. You really have to feel it out. I wouldn't rush it. I didn't rush it. My friend, thank God, my boy Alex kept saying, like, what did John Legend say? Take it slow. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He kept singing that. This time we'll take it slow. And so, I took it slow. There was no rush. Like, I don't believe in the rush of it all. I believe in slow cooking. Right. You can put the pan on high and throw the egg and then it get burnt so fast. Or like, put it on level 5 a little bit. Let it like,
I hear you.
So yeah, I believe it's more like it's per couple, I think, or per relationship, per partnering. Like you said, it doesn't take a long day to recognize sunshine, right? Like Common said, but
right.
But even that, there's also that moment of like, what's the rush? Let's enjoy it. And I always tell my clients and my friends, I'm like, they're in that new car smell, the relationship, the honeymoon phase. I'm like, enjoy that. Oh, the butterflies and the like, the excitement of like, I wonder if she's ever been here. I'm gonna take her here. I got this whole day planned out. Like, and that excitement, like the challenge is to keep that going, in your relationship. Like some, that old saying of like, never stop dating your wife or never stop dating your partner or whatever.
True.
I'll take it a step further. Never stop sliding in her DMs. This is like the 2023, right? Like,
right.
We don't only flirt in person. We send each other memes and gifs and reels and TikToks, and then we use it as like a icebreaker. And we're like, oh my God, that video is so funny. Yeah, that reminds me. My dad has one of those. No way, that's fun. Blah, blah, blah. I actually been to this place. Oh, we should go. And this is like not day 1 of dating. This is now day 100. We're still keeping that banter, keeping that flow. Like it's a practice though. It's a discipline. If you think about it, it's almost a discipline to be in a relationship. And everybody wants the pretty lights of a relationship, but there's work. Everybody wants to be a father and have a child, but there's work. Like I'm hearing from my clients who haven't gotten sleep. Like I see my clients go from no kids to toddlers at home, and I'm like, you good, fam? Like they're just like, I just haven't slept in a while, but it's gonna be good. And it's and I encourage them because I've seen other clients, other friends go through that, and I go, it's a season. Hang in there. If you don't have that open line of communication from foundation from the beginning, and then you're throwing in marriage and babies and house hunting, and then it's like, why are we arguing and fighting? It's because we're not used to having talks.
Mm, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Too much.
Nah,
as I sip on my tea.
well, okay. So this, I'm gonna get just a little bit serious.
Let's go.
Just a little bit. Let's talk about your past marriage and how that affected you and the lessons you learned from that. I knew Becca. And of course that was your lovely wife. First, let's just start in on how all that affected you. How what went in your mind when all this happened?
When we met, or
well, you can start from the beginning, from when you met up to the point when, because I mean, people don't know the story, so it kind of be cool to
long story short, boy meets girl. Yeah, I met Becca. It was so funny at a random. It was like a random hip hop b-boy jam at a coffee shop called Push Play Cafe. I don't know if you remember Push Play Cafe. It was by UCF. Now it's a Dunkin' Donuts, which is sad. I mean, I like Dunkin' Donuts, but like Push Play Cafe was our community. It was a community spot, you know. She just happened to be there, and I think I invited her to Blow Sundays. You know, I had my flyers, the guerrilla marketing, you know, hey, my band, I am the host, is going to be playing this Sunday. She came out with her roommates, and I felt, because I made the initiative of, like, you know, and personally inviting her, when I saw her there, I wanted to thank her for coming out. Mm-hmm. And yeah, after that, it was, long story short, we all kind of became in the same friend group. So it was like Becca, Tito, Shannon, Peter, Gio, Dennis, you, Eddie. Like we had this like group that we hung out every Sunday night. We were at the open mic, the jam session, listening to music, laughing, hanging out. And that just became a thing. Then we started, like, you know, creating together, making music together, planning events together. Again, same in the same circle. Honestly, we just became really good friends. She was the type of girl that I can sit. I remember one time we were just at a park, sitting on swings and just talking about everything and nothing.
Wow.
Crazy. To find someone that you can talk about everything and nothing is such a gift, you know? And I've been in that situation before where, you know, this girl can be a really good friend, or she could be a girlfriend, you know?
Right.
You know, but like, because you're the fear of ruining a friendship or making it awkward afterwards, you know, I stayed in the friend zone a little bit. But it wasn't until like we had other friends that outside the circle, not outside circle, in the circle, go, hey, you guys, there's like a vibe. I really think you guys should hang out more, like without us. You know? Yeah, how about you guys go pick up the pizza? You know, like just to kind of create that like opportunity, you know. And the true story, one day she sat me down. We were just chilling like we normally do. We would just chill in the parking lot, you know, just talking. And she was like, "Can I ask you something?" And I was like, "Yeah. Are you feeling me? Like, do you like me?" Oh, wow. And I was like, you know, Will Smith, like, you know, like, well, the thing is, yeah, you know, I mean, yeah, I like you. And but I will never forget this, man. Like, we sat there and we talked. It felt like, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it felt like 3 hours of us debating, or not debating, but, you know, contemplating what would it look like moving forward from we have a really great friendship to giving this taking this to the next level. And I remember she said, "Well, how do you know it's not going to work unless you give it a try?"
Wow.
Because I had a friend who was a girl in high school who was like my best friend, and then we dated, and then we broke up, and we never spoke since. Like it was nasty. It was a nasty
Mm.
breakup, you know, and I was afraid of repeating my past and my history. But just
Mm.
because that's what happened with, you know, the ex doesn't mean it's gonna happen with the present, you know.
Right. 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 Right.
And long story short, I ended up getting married. Like, you know, like years
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
We ended up like she was doing her music, then she transitioned into event planning, specialized in weddings, and then you know we started doing event planning through weddings. She helped me build my studio when I was doing hair in my own little studio. Like we became an entrepreneur couple, and all because I took the risk of saying like, how do I know if it's not going to work unless we give it a shot?
Mm.
And I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't make a decision based off fear. You
Mm.
know, and I'll say this. I say this every time. I would do it all over again, even
Mm.
knowing that like I'm only gonna get like 12 years with her.
Mm.
Those are 12 years that I've learned so many lessons. I've learned to. I grew up. I adulted. You know, when you're getting married
Mm.
at 26, like, and then like basically Beck and I were together since I was like 34, you know what I mean? So that's a whole
Right.
decade adulting. We're learning how to do taxes together. We're learning how to buy a house
Mm.
together. We're learning, like um I've learned I've learned a lot of lessons. Like, for example, this is a little golden nugget I like to give my guys out there. In the beginning in a relationship, a lot of times the sweet things is to surprise them with flowers, right?
Right.
So
Right.
the I hate to say cliche, but it's not cliche because depending on your girl, if you communicate, you'll know she likes flowers, right?
Right. 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 Of course.
But you do the random little nice things. Then you get married, right? You can randomly buy flowers, but you know what really works when you're married is randomly cleaning up the place, randomly making sure that if you got home first, homie, if you home first and the dishes are piled up, the dog hasn't been walked or whatever, you take the time out to take care of all that. So when she comes home, she got nothing else to do but hang out with you.
Hey.
Just in case, I'm not sure if it's PG or whatever, like
Say whatever you gotta say. Say whatever
you
you gotta
know,
say.
what I
You
mean?
got
That
to.
becomes the sweet nothings and the like, oh my god, he just surprised me at my job with flowers. Like, oh my god, I came home and the place was clean. And so we just sat down, we're able to like I was able to kick my feet up and just watch a movie with him. I didn't
Mm.
have to try to prepare dinner. I didn't have to try to do all these things. And not saying that I'm gonna be that guy that always does that.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2023, man, it's a partnership.
True
It's
enough.
no longer the patriarch of like the man works and the woman stays home and clean. The woman works. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, but I need a woman that works. It's inflation out there. Like
I'm telling
these
you, no joke.
it's like we all need roommates.
You said that. You said
Yeah,
that.
man. So with there's a lot of things. I'll tell you what, one of the challenges in keeping it serious is like um in the beginning of my relationship, in my new relationship, there was a little bit of guilt because now I have experience and knowledge and how to be like I guess a better husband, a better boyfriend or whatever. Um and there are definitely components that I'm like, oh, that's what Becca was trying to say. That's what she was trying to
Mm.
ask from me. The times that she came home after doing a long wedding, you know, and wedding days are long. I'm sure you've been to a wedding before, or been to a
Mm.
family member's wedding where you're like, I feel like I'm working for free, But her being a planner and dealing with all that a whole long day, 7 a.m., coming home at like past midnight. And then I'm home chilling, playing Xbox. Nothing wrong with that. I'm
Mm.
playing, I'm on my Call of Duty or whatever, but the place is a mess. The
Mm.
things, maybe the one or two things that she asked, hey, can you remember to take out the trash because it comes out today? And I forgot because I was like gaming and got caught up. And
Mm.
I don't do things like that now. I'm more on top of trash and stuff. I mean, when you become a solo person, you learn to take care of all your stuff. But there are moments where I go, dang, I should have, you
Mm,
know, I should have been better. I shouldn't have done it with an attitude.
mm,
You know, like it's not a lot that she was asking for, right?
right.
And I know sometimes we feel like in relationships like, she's nagging me or whatever. But I've learned this like even in the workforce. I had an owner who she was kind of cuckoo. And but I knew what she expected. Like
Right.
when we closed the shop, there was a list. There was a paper that says when you're closing, make sure this door is locked, the computer is this, the bank, blah, blah, blah. And if I scratched off all the lists, when she came the next day to open up, she was cool.
Right.
Now, if I forgot something on that list or I didn't do it, she came in the next day and now she's chewing us out and being
Mm,
mad. I mean, well, I didn't do what I said I was gonna do.
mm,
So why am I, I'm not gotta swallow my pride and take the L and be like, I gotta stay humble, is what
mm,
I'm saying. And Rebecca is just such a sweet and graceful spirit. Like a girl had so much patience and grace with me,
mm,
like, and she really, one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that like she was an example of like God's unconditional love,
mm,
like especially for me, in my marriage. But I even saw it the way she was with her family, with her friends, like, like Becca was just genuine, and like, and that was really important to me in picking my partner and picking my wife. I
right.
looked at her and I'm like, is this somebody that I can bring along in my life, in my circle, my family? Is this somebody that, I hate to say it like this, am I going to be embarrassed to say I'm with this person? And I'm not talking about like image or look or shallowness. I'm going to be embarrassed because my girl likes to randomly fight with the bouncer like all the time. We
Mm,
go, like, like, I
gotcha.
don't, you seen that that was the Key and Peele skit? Was it Megan? Oh, Megan. She's always like starting fights with guys at the club or the
Mm.
bar. Like, I knew I didn't want a Megan. And so I think it's important, like, know in a way what you're looking for,
Right.
because like when you're dating someone, it's almost like you're interviewing that person. And no one's perfect. No one's gonna scratch. I don't think you're gonna find someone who's your perfect score. Like,
Mm,
let's say you have like, and just like, I'll get a little nerdy with it, like in comic books, right?
mhm.
No superhero has it all. You
Right.
know,
Right.
Superman has the strength, but Lex Luthor has like intelligence, or Batman
Mm,
would probably be better. Like, he doesn't have like the super strength, but he's the greatest detective.
mm,
The Flash is fast, but he can't fly. Like everybody has something, and you got to know what your deal breakers are. For me,
right.
my deal breaker is having a girl who can't walk into certain spaces with me
Mm,
because I'm afraid she's gonna have a fight or beef with somebody.
mm.
Like,
I hear you.
so yeah, like Becca wasn't that person, man. I used to have a lot of like I'll have moments where I'll lose my cool. We all get angry and stuff. And one of the things that she taught me is that she would lower her voice when I was yelling. And there's a reverse psychology that when you're like, well, I don't think that and she's like, well, blah, 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 and she's lowering her voice, talking back to you like normal. So you
Mm.
start thinking you look crazy. Like, it's like I look crazy now because she's talking to me like this and I'm talking like that, and it's just okay. All right. Like, simmer down, buddy. Um, so I've learned now that even in my new relationship, if I'm upset, I'm not a yeller, I'm not a screamer anymore. Like, that's something I've taken, from my previous marriage into my new relationship, where I go, okay, this is how I feel, this is why I'm upset, and I'm going to talk to you nicely and calmly, because I feel like that would actually make a better, impact, or actually resonate, than if I just went all dramatic.
Got you. Got you. Got you. All right. So we touched a little bit on your previous marriage. What do you what's in store for Frank Rose moving forward? Not only in your relationship, but in the things that you're pursuing.
Hmm. Moving forward, there's I was just saying, it's like I need a vision board. Like I need to put this all up. Um, yeah, I got a couple of things. I've been writing again a little bit. I think I want to get back into some music.
Okay.
I definitely want to be able to, in a weird way, like coach and mentor other widowers.
Mm,
Um, it's been kind of like in my heart. I've been going, it's still fresh, but everything I'm learning, I'm trying to share with other friends that have gone through it.
mm,
And I don't know exactly what that looks like. I don't know if it's a new branch of my podcast, or is it going to be more, is it a book? Is it speaking? I don't know, but I definitely want to be able to like help out and pay it forward. Um, yeah, like I don't know if it's an AA for widowers or like not AA, but you know what I mean? Like I have been a widower. Da, da, da. I just really have found like this liberation in talking and sharing your thoughts and feelings. It's almost like emotional burps, I call them. Like you got emotional gas and you need to release it,
got you.
in a healthier way. And yeah, so I'm still at the shop. I'm also doing like education and like teaching like fades and stuff to the new assistants, and like I'm really enjoying that. I'm realizing in this part of my life, I'm like, oh, I have stuff to give and stuff to teach as well. Always be a student, but like
Right.
you know how it is like in church. It's like it's cool that you're always attending, but once in a while it's good to serve. Like it's good to
Right.
get
Right. Right.
involved a little
Right.
bit. Like find your small group, find your community. And I think a lot of times we look at it in the four walls of church of like how that works. Like you got to get plugged in or you find your community. But I also think that in all my areas of my life, like a small group is not just a small group. I go with some guys from church, it's great, but I have a small group of core friends who I'm tight
Mhm.
with, who I can call, who I FaceTime, um, who tell me real friends tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, right? And they have that
Mhm.
permission because we build that relationship.
Mhm.
One thing I couldn't stand, and I'll tell this a piece of advice: anyone who's like, if you're talking to a widower or someone who's lost somebody or something in their life, and you haven't talked to that person in a while, and the
Mhm.
first thing that comes out of your mouth, you're like, "Hey, how are you, brother? How are you? How's it going?" And I know it comes from a sweet, good place. Like I know it comes from, like I know this deacon, he's just trying to be a good man of God. But I'm like, bro, I don't know you from Adam. Like, I don't know you. Or like we haven't talked in forever. That to me sounds like you're trying to be super intimate with me without courting me, without dating me. You know what I mean? Like he's like, let's wham bam do this thing. I'm like, yo, like how about hello? What's up? How's the weather? Let's have a little small talk. Like let's get comfortable. That's like, what it feels like when you go on a date and the first thing they ask is like, so how many kids you want? Like, or well, I want to try to get married within, 3 months and blah blah blah. So it's like I'm exaggerating it. But the point being is that I don't want someone who's just I can only open up to the people that I already have a relationship established with.
Right. Right.
I already have had intimate moments with my boys. We've cried together. We've talked together. We've prayed together. That's the dude that can go, so how you doing, man? You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm glad you asked, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You know what's up. You know what's been going on. And I know in church, sometimes we learn that like we do that because sometimes people don't have those friends.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so we offer an opportunity to be like, how are you? How you doing? But maybe not be that first line. Maybe the first line is like, I don't know, break the ice. Like,
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Which brings me into I only got two more
Yeah.
points, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go. But uh, Frank, what would you say um, is a correlation for you between your relationship and your faith? How does your faith affect your relationship? And I'm not talking about just your relationship with your girl. I'm talking about all your relationships.
Mm.
Uh, and the reason I say that is because uh, you've been in church for a while, so you know
Hmm.
our whole thing is we have a relationship with Christ. We're
Hmm.
not doing religion. And I believe in this day and time, a lot of people want to do religion versus relationship. How
Mm.
do you think that looks versus what you've seen?
Man, that's a really good question. Because now, come to think about it, you're right. It's like a pendulum swung. Like growing up, the early 2000s was like relationship with Christ, relationship. I'm not in a religion. I have a relationship with Jesus. It's personal.
Mhm.
Jesus is my homeboy. Remember those hats?
Yeah.
Jesus is my homeboy, right? Like that was which I'm gonna have to buy. I'm gonna bring that back. But it was all about that. And now you're right. I do see this generation is definitely more into like the religion. It's almost like, what set do you rep? Like what crew? Like it's almost
Right.
like, oh, I'm Buddhist, or I'm atheist, or I'm this or that. Um, with me, I definitely had to do a little deconstructing, because my
Okay.
relationship with God, in my understanding before, was, if you're a good person, I'm following the 10 commandments, I'm attending church, I'm doing all the things, quote unquote, that like this God's got me.
Right.
So I was thinking that if I'm doing all these things, so when I make my prayer requests, because I have a good what do you call it, history with my Lord, my request should like skip through the other ones, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
when I
Right.
pray, God heal her, God heal her, God heal her, I'm like, well, if not for me, do it for her, because well, Becca's a woman of God, and she's a great example, and she loves you, and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And then when God didn't answer that prayer, like my faith crumbled. My faith
Hmm.
fell apart, because I had a relationship with God that was more like a genie
Hmm.
than a father. You know,
Hmm.
if I rub the lamp and I make the wish, all right, God, let me get this. All right, God, let me get that. It's
Hmm.
like the Aladdin movie. Poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? Like I always think about that reference, and I didn't realize that's where my head was at,
Hmm.
because I was like, how can God, who's so good, allow bad things to happen to good people? And I'm not
Hmm.
even talking about myself. I mean, my wife was, such a good person. And
Right.
it's not even that she was like, Lord, take me, I'm done. She was like, I don't know why I'm going through this, but I can't wait for the other side.
Hmm.
She had hope. And that's what made me, to be honest, I was angry at God. I was angry at
Hmm.
God for so long. And then I even tried to, like, for a season, live a life without God.
Hmm.
Because then now, like, my world got turned upside down. I was like, well, I've been in this religion, in this faith,
Hmm.
and God let me down. But then I learned, and as I realized, as you like deconstruct and kind of get a little bit more mature in your face, bad things happen to good and bad people.
Hmm.
I hate to say, but just unfortunately, man, things just happen. It just happens. And like there are some answers that I won't know maybe until heaven, you
Right.
know? Maybe I won't know until next year or so, like I hate to think that Becca had to die for me to be the man that I am today,
Hmm.
but there are elements of the man that I am today that I am kind of proud of, that I wouldn't have reached this new relationship with God if I didn't go through my quote unquote trauma.
Hmm.
Actually, not even quote unquote, it's trauma, you
Right.
know?
Right. Right.
And so cliche, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Like, it's very true. It's so true. I'm definitely stronger on the other side with my relationship with God because I tried it without him, and I realized a couple of things. A lot of my friends who were in the faith, and then they decide to, they're done with church, they're done with God. All right, cool. But then I hear they're on antidepressant this and taking medication for that. And again, there's no shame in that. You got to do what you got to do. But
right,
yeah, I'm hearing more negative than positive,
right,
and I don't know. It's that idea of like life is worth trying. Like, I'd rather try to live this life. I'd rather fight than freeze. I've realized that, like, not having something or someone bigger than yourself to believe in, you're just gonna be empty, just empty. Like, for me, I find it in God. Like, that's my bigger why, my bigger reason to live for. And and it's tough because I gave up. I gave up on it. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do me. I did the righteous life, or I try to live holy, and this is the reward. Bump that. All right, let me let me do my thing. And I do my thing, but I'm like, dang, I'm still empty. These are all temporary highs. I drink, okay, I get my buzz, then I crash, hungover. I smoke, okay, I get high, then I crash. Okay, I have a one night stand, cool. Then what? Crash. Like, the dopamine fix of getting my, you're chasing a dopamine, but with God, I just feel like there's an internal dopamine, like there's an internal high, like, so I still believe that, yeah, it's a relationship with God. I think there was times that back then we forgot some of the reverence that comes in with God. That's the part of religion that I admire, is the reverence. Like, you go to a Catholic church, like, everyone stands up, everyone sits down, there's a respect. There's a respect for the Lord. But then what I feel like there was a separation of just like, he's like this king and I can't talk to him, but Jesus is like, nah, I'm your homeboy. Like, I can talk to you. So I feel like it's finding that middle between relationship and religion,
That's good. That's good. I mean, that I couldn't have said that any better. I mean, honestly, that's kind of been the space that I've been in, is just figuring out this whole relationship thing. And right now I'm on that whole big father tip, God is my father, and I'm just all at the same time, he's my homeboy. I'm just telling you, I'm like, oh my God, it took me so long. You knew all this stuff, but why did it take me so long to tell you this stuff? And you just develop those things over the course of time, and you just don't realize how much that relationship, not the religion, is going to impact your life. And I'm totally glad you found that. I hate the fact that you had to experience the stuff that you did in order to find it, but all of us have an experience. All of us have been through a test, and that's what gives us our testimony to be Christian.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same way with a relationship, in dating, in marriage, right? If we don't talk to that person, if we don't hang out with that person, we don't spend quality time with that person, like, how do we expect to be tight with that person? And how do we expect to feel like we know that person if we don't date that person? We don't follow up with that person. So the same thing with God. Like we're expecting, God, you should know that I'm mad. You should know that I need this. You should know. And God's like, just ask. And I feel like we do that in relationships too. Like, I mean, I remember I've had to tell my girl, like, just ask. If you need help, just ask. Just tell me. Like, what do we say to kids? Use your words. Like, speaking of our Heavenly Father, I think our Heavenly Father a lot of times says, use your words.
Right, right. I think there's a certain like you said, there's a certain I think there's a certain fear in uh that people get scared because there is a reverence to when you start talking about God and stuff like that. But you don't think of him as your homeboy, somebody that he can because everything he did was perfect. So you're like, he can't relate to me.
Mm,
I'm going through all this and woo
yeah,
woo 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 woo, and he was perfect.
yeah.
And you're like, but he went through all that. He just did it perfectly.
Hmm.
And once you start figuring that out, I think you're a lot better. I think you can grasp more, but that's a process. That's an everyday process, and we learn it and we continue to learn it. Um, I'm about to wrap up. So what would you say in encouragement to the fellas that want to get in relationship, to the ladies that want to get into relationships, and any final thoughts you want to say?
Mm. I would say, I mean, it sounds cliche, but everyone says you have to learn to love yourself first. You can't put your identity on someone else.
Hmm,
Like you're not gonna find your internal joy in another person.
hmm,
It's not gonna happen that way. And usually you find that person when you're not looking.
hmm,
You always say that cliche. It's like when we're on the hunt, it's usually not doesn't work out.
hmm,
I say just stay in your lane. Go into the community spaces that you enjoy, that you like. And who knows, you might bump into somebody who's already in that same scene, in that same circle. Um, and yeah, like it's like the same advice I would say with how do you have those uncomfortable conversations? Don't make it a bigger deal than it needs to be.
hmm.
We put so much pressure on the date or on the conversation or on the goal of being in a relationship. And
Hmm.
I know some people are like, it's easier for you to say, Frank, like, you're a good looking dude. I'm like, I know. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, but like, dude, like we all have insecurities, right? It's not putting that pressure and just when you do date, I looked at it like this. I don't know. Some people might agree, not disagree, or disagree. For me, I didn't really go on like dates. Like I called it hangouts. I would hang out with a girl. I would hang out with a person. Nothing too crazy. Let's go get coffee. Let's go get coffee. And let's just talk over coffee. First
Right.
of all, I want to see you on a friend level.
Hmm.
Because when we get to dating, like, and that, don't get me wrong, I'll definitely that then after a couple of coffee hangouts, I'm like, I'm gonna take you out to eat, or I'm gonna take you out to this, this theater show or whatever. Like, then you start leveling it up.
Right,
But
right, right, right.
but I always said if I just met a girl and then I went on a date, isn't that just going on a job interview? And are we only on
Hmm.
our best behavior on a job interview?
Yes.
But then months later, you get to know that person for real. Your coworkers start showing their true colors and blah blah.
Hmm.
And sometimes you're like, "Wow, this coworker is really cool." Like, I didn't get this vibe during the interview, or like,
Right.
or this employee wasn't, that cool during the interview, or this employee really was great in the interview, and now,
You're trash.
you know. So that's why in the beginning, a lot of times, if there was a girl I kind of had interest in, I would, ask to hang out. Like I would just invite them to certain things. Maybe there's a show that I'm going to. Maybe there's an open mic, a poetry night. And, a lot of times, I think a lot of times we all are just craving company.
Mm.
It's nice to just have company, a buddy, a pal, like
Right, right,
someone to
right,
roll up with, like so that you're not by yourself. And then if you're
right.
comfortable in that setting of just a friendly hanging out, watching some poetry or whatever, or grabbing coffee, I'm like, that's that's removing the pressure, that's removing the anxiety, that's removing all, like, it's just making it comfortable you know So that would be my advice. My long-winded advice. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's incredible. I think that was incredible. I think that this chat was very fruitful. We had a bunch of laughs. Well, at least I had a bunch of laughs.
Well, I mean, we're genuine friends outside of this, so of course we're gonna laugh. And this is a reflection of what we've sowed into each other's friendship. And like these are the type of friends that like, oh, we haven't seen each other for years, but we just pick up where we left off. It's a genuine relationship,
True enough.
And you know what? If you haven't talked to God in a while, you can pick up where you left off.
True. Ooh, hit you with that good stuff.
Well,
you there for a few minutes.
you gonna come to my mega church? Just kidding. I'm gonna buy me a dome. I'm gonna get me a private jet. No, I'm just kidding. For the Lord. Oh man.
Oh my goodness. This has been incredible. Okay, so this has been incredible. Frank, man, I want to thank you for stopping in.
Yeah, man.
This was dope. We got to do this again. We do this. We definitely got to do this again. And of course, I'm going to see you at the next event. Why don't you tell us what events and stuff you got coming up? And this way people can check you out and all your other stuff.
Well, if they want to, first of all, if they need a haircut, you can go to IamFrankRose.com. Book an appointment with me, and we can have these conversations while I cut your hair. I will be hosting the Orlando House Party 4-year anniversary. It's 4 years now that we've been doing Orlando House Party, October 14th. And it's going to be our 90s, early 2000 theme. So everybody's encouraged to dress up. Yeah, rock your 90s gear or your 2000 gear. Last year, my brother was Nelly. Like he had like a little bandana. I was rocking the overalls, even though I felt like a Rugrat. But I was going for Fresh Prince, and I was like, "Damn, I look like Phil Lil, like with his overalls." But it's a good time, man. It's a good time. We do it at Grape in the Grain, which has a whole backyard patio. You've come, and it genuinely feels like an old school house party. And what's so great about it is like I'm so proud of it because we made sure that the party is like inclusive. We have rules established. There's no like body shaming. Ask consent to dance with somebody. Like we want to make sure everyone feels comfortable and safe. This is not the random night at the Roxbury Club, like not that guy. It's more of a family vibes, like.
Right.
And so that's coming up, man, October 14th. And we got a couple events in November and December with Orlando House Party. Cool. The Orlando Jazz Collective is slowly working on their next event. Yeah, man. And yes, keep following me. Everything's I Am Frank Rose, for new things. Maybe this maybe you re-spark my podcast bug.
maybe.
Yes, sir.
Maybe you can have yours truly on there, and I might have something interesting.
Yes, sir.
About, hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not
absolutely
very interesting. But...
Nah, bro. You're sincerely interesting. Dad jokes. Oh man, but yeah, man, that's what's up. That's what's going on so far. So yeah, I'm cool. Frank Rose.
All right, well, I'm gonna sign off. Thank you once again, Frank Rose. This has been Sincere with the Standard 81 podcast. That has been Frank Rose. Check him out at I Am Frank Rose. Get your hair cut. Check out Orlando House Party, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.